Chosen one, listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you, because right now, the number 9 energy is pressing into your life with an intensity you've never felt before. It's showing up in the endings, breaking open the birthings, and unleashing a kind of serpent wisdom that shakes you awake and burns away illusions in the middle of the night. Right now, as you stand in the thick of it, you're not just witnessing a season close. You're standing at the threshold where everything you knew collapses. Everything you feared loses its teeth, and something unspeakably holy begins to writhe up inside you, demanding that you choose. Will you cling to yesterday's skin, or will you let it shed and reveal something truer, something luminous, something marked by the wisdom of every battle, every betrayal, every silent midnight where the world forgot your name? Let me tell you what happens when this number 9 energy moves in. It doesn't ask permission. It sweeps through your bank accounts. It rattles your relationships. It pulls at every loose thread you thought you'd carefully hidden. Suddenly, the job that seemed stable cracks down the middle. A phone call cuts through your Tuesday lunch, a client backs out, or the contract you waited months for evaporates overnight. You refresh the page, heart pounding, staring at the numbers. There's less, not more. It's not just the money that goes. It's the plans, the reassurance, the safe predictability. 9 brings an ending that doesn't explain itself. A finality that leaves you holding questions instead of answers, bills instead of blessings. And you stare at what little is left, asking why, as your friends only offer silence and your own prayers echo back empty through the ceiling. Let me show you how these endings never arrive alone. What breaks also reveals. What closes also cracks open. There's a birthing happening right under your skin, right behind the pain. You feel it in the restlessness, can't sleep at midnight, can't get comfortable at dawn. Old roles slip from your hands. You find yourself scrolling through old photos, wincing at memories. The comfort you once had doesn't fit you anymore, but nothing new has arrived to hold you. It's the ache of pregnancy in the spirit, carrying something you can't name, groaning for a delivery you can't schedule. You whisper to God that you're ready, but 9 isn't moved by your calendar. 9 insists you finish the dying before you see the new life, and you feel every contraction, every false start, every long hour of labor, until finally, after nights that stretch like years, you sense the stir. Not the solution you begged for, but a wild new beginning you would have never asked for. And yet, looking back, you see that nothing old could have survived it. The birth is messy, loud, undignified, and holy. Let me take you inside the serpent's wisdom that comes with 9. It moves without fanfare, subtle, watchful, coiled, and waiting. You wake at 3 a.m. again, heart racing, sheets tangled, phone screen burning your face as you scroll through messages that never come. You want relief, so you take the pill. You want distraction, so you open the app, scroll, double tap, watch other people's curated victories. But the panic creeps in anyway, a thin unease in the blood tightening across your chest. You replay what went wrong, the words said, the bills piling up, the texts unanswered, the way the room feels too small for your racing thoughts. You get up, splash water on your face, pace the hallway, whisper a prayer that's more begging than believing. Why is it always 3 a.m. when the old wounds bleed the most? You remember how it felt to be sure, the September afternoons when the world made sense, the easy jokes over coffee, the faith that your best days weren't behind you. But in the blue light of the alarm clock, all you have is the raw ache of endings. You try another remedy, a podcast about hope, a meditation that promises peace. But nothing sticks. You get under the covers again, listen to the apartment creak, wonder if you'll ever wake to good news. Morning rolls in, but it doesn't bring the relief you wanted. There's only the residue of panic, the hollow exhaustion, the certainty that something irreversible just passed through your life. And yet, as the sun rises, another layer of your old self has shed, painfully, silently, without applause. You're not sure who you're becoming, but you know you can't go back. That's the serpent's wisdom. It teaches by stripping, by forcing you to see who you are when the disguises fall away, when comfort dies, when all your old escapes shrivel. Let me break this down for you in the concrete details of your life. Right now, in your finances, you watch as money drains away faster than you can replenish it. Payments you were counting on vanish. Expenses you didn't approve show up. You check your balance, do the math, and it doesn't add up. Small leaks become floods. A forgotten fee here, a failed investment there, and suddenly your cushion is gone. You try to patch the holes, call the bank, negotiate with creditors, pick up extra hours. Yet the more you scramble, the more elusive financial peace becomes. This isn't punishment. It's the ending of your dependence. 9 is teaching you that what once made you secure can't hold you in the new season coming. Doors that slam now are doors that saved you from walking through the wrong future. Even when you feel abandoned, tightly pressed, the wisdom wrapping around you is this: your provision isn't dried up, it's being rerouted. Where you thought lack was punishment, it was protection, pruning every false comfort until only real supply remains. Now let me show you what happens in your relationships when 9 arrives. Calls go unanswered longer than they used to. Friends who swore loyalty slip away quietly. Messages stay read, not replied. You're left sifting through old conversations, rereading threads, wondering if the disconnect is your fault. You reach out once, twice, and again, only to meet polite silence or vague promises. Grief sits in your chest like a stone. It's not just people leaving, it's every expectation of belonging evaporating. But underneath, something shifts. The ones who endure become sacred, chosen remnant family, not by blood but by storm. You learn to walk alone without bitter edges. Gradually, new people appear, unexpected, open, raw, with their own stories, drawn to the emptiness you once feared. 9 empties the room to prepare it for a kind of communion you could never experience while the crowd was thick. The wisdom here is this: loneliness is not your enemy. It is the garden bed for deeper connection, covenant not convenience, souls that recognize you in your truest form. Let me explain what unfolds in your health while 9 is moving. Your body grows tired. Chronic pain flares up for no reason. Doctor visits give you more questions than answers. The medicine works, then it doesn't. You pray for healing, sometimes with hope, mostly with desperation. Sleep slips away. The mirror shows someone older, wearier, a survivor. Yet in all this, as you listen to your body's lament, you begin to discern a subtle shift. You learn to care for yourself in ways you'd neglected. Steady meals, walks in the sun, saying no when you always said yes. It is not dramatic recovery, but the small, persistent turning toward kindness. Choices that favor survival, life, joy. The wisdom of the serpent here is this: your body isn't betraying you. It's exposing every place you abandoned yourself, every time you sacrificed health for hustle. 9 says, it's time to return, to cherish, to heal at a pace that honors the wear and tear of the past. The new life emerging will not demand you break yourself to keep up. Let me take you into the territory of your calling, your platform, your outward reach. Perhaps you built something steady, recognition, a following, a name others respected. Then comes 9, and suddenly your influence flickers. Invitations stop coming. The door that was always open now jams. You wonder if you missed your moment or fumbled your chance. You try to be louder, brighter, more relevant, but the world doesn't notice. Humility seeps in, slower than grief, but just as potent. You stop trying to impress and find freedom in obscurity. Those who do show up for the deeper you, not the image, not the role. The wisdom here is that platforms built in the old season cannot carry the weight of your true assignment. 9 says, "Let the applause die, let ambition rest." When the new doors open, you will carry an authority untouched by striving, a voice untainted by hustle. Let me finally show you the spiritual storm 9 stirs up. Voices of accusation get louder. Old shame resurrects. You question your worth, your progress, even your calling. Spiritual routines feel dry, and every sermon sounds like someone else's story. But in the wilderness where God seems silent, a deeper hunger rises. You shed old forms, tired beliefs. There is no formula, only intimacy. You cry in the shower, you rage in your prayers, you choose to show up anyway. And then at your lowest, the serpent-wisdom coils around your heart, quiet, ancient, undying. You remember every time God pulled you through, every time mercy emptied and refilled you. Faith grows, not because circumstances get better, but because you finally know who walks with you in the valley, who holds your end from your beginning. That's the only wisdom that endures. They expected you to fall, but you were reborn. They left you for empty, but you drew the wisdom of the serpent from the ashes. Where lack threatened to bury you, unexpected supply rose up. Where friendships ended, truer connections grew. Where doors slammed, new ones, holy ones opened. They tried to shame you, but you emerged healed, scarred, and sacred. Overnight, everything old died. Suddenly, everything new began to move. Now in the fire of 9, endings become beginnings. Wisdom flows like oil, and you, yes, you, walk in the fullness of all that was promised. It is finished. It is begun. Right now, overnight, even now. Let me show you how the arc bends, how the hand that stripped you now lifts you. How reversal breaks through in a way the enemy never saw coming. How every loss you dragged through the darkness takes on new shape in the light. Right now, the energy of 9 is not just about what ends. It's about the way a burial becomes a resurrection. A casket cracking open as seed, promise, and assignment all burst out together. What they thought was your undoing was the tilling of your soil. Hard, relentless, breaking down every clod of pride and comfort until the ground of your life was ready. Plowed, waiting for new rain. You thought it was over. You grieved the old season so long the tears nearly dried on your face. But suddenly, in the quiet places when nobody is watching, reversal slips into your story, patient and deliberate. Watch carefully. The first sign is so small you might miss it. A payment you stopped expecting lands in your account, nothing oversized, but enough to breathe again. Enough to prove to yourself you haven't been forgotten. A debt you thought would stay on your back for years is wiped out by a mercy you cannot explain. A letter arrives, a phone call turns soft, what had been hard. Let me walk you through the texture of it. The tension in your shoulders begins to ease, the knot in your stomach that's been sitting like a stone starts to dissolve, and you notice you're able for the first time in weeks to laugh without faking it. These are not fireworks, not grand awards, but subtle, undeniable evidence that things are turning. You can feel the wind shift in your favor. The room that felt stale is welcoming new air. Suddenly, you're not fighting to keep afloat. You're gliding, even if only by inches. And you remember. Nothing lost in the ending was ever truly necessary for the future God was preparing. There's a strange justice that begins to flow in reversal. Let me tell you about it. The people who dismissed you, who sowed confusion into your name, who watched your endings from the sidelines and whispered that you must be finished, they begin to hear the rumors of your return. Not through gossip columns or viral posts, but through the witness of your steady presence, your refusal to stay bitter, your quiet rebuilding. There's a phone call from a former friend who just happened to think of you. There's an invitation to speak where before the doors were locked. An old supervisor who once overlooked your skill now searches for your perspective. The world starts remembering your value not because you forced your way in, but because you let yourself be remade when it didn't seem worth it. Vindication doesn't scream, it doesn't gloat, it just stands unshaken, undeniable, witnessing to the God who saw the injustice and is now making it right. Feel the difference in your relationships as reversal continues. The ones who departed in your winter feel a new weight in their absence. They sense that what used to be easy with you cannot be found with anyone else. Some return seeking forgiveness. Others remain at a distance, watching, hearts pricked by regret. But you have changed. You grant mercy, but with boundaries. You honor history, but don't chain yourself to memory. New friends come, drawn by the authenticity the fire carved into you. People who show up with empty hands and open hearts, who listen, weep, and celebrate with you in ways your old crowd never could. You discover the power of chosen family over convenient company. Suddenly you see the wisdom in every letting go. The table is smaller, the conversation deeper, the laughter rooted in truth instead of performance. You see now, the loss made space for belonging that can't be shaken. Let me take you further, into the way your work, your assignment, your calling reverses direction, catches the updraft of heaven. Where once you struggled to be seen, now opportunities find you, even the ones you never campaigned for. Emails that used to be silent now carry invitations. Collaborations arrive unforced, surprising, bespoke. Platform rises quietly beneath you, not because you clamored for it, but because endurance carved authority into your voice. You're no longer performing. You're releasing what's inside you, burning and alive. The world hungers for the truth that only comes from scars, and your scars preach sermons your mouth never has to voice. Vindication in calling is not the restoration of what you lost. It's the increase that only pain could fashion, the platform that only surrender could build. And you realize you're grateful for every locked door that forced you onto this different path. Now hear me. Spiritual vindication follows, but it doesn't look like triumph from the outside. It arrives as peace that cannot be agitated, assurance that holds in the silence. The accusations in your mind recede. The shame loses its grip. You wake to the sound of your own worship, not out of obligation but relief. God reclaims every fragment of disappointment, knitting together a garment of praise from the rags. You stop battling for worth. You simply belong. Faith becomes substance, no longer a thing hoped for, but something tangible you carry in your voice, your eyes, your walk into every room. For others, the change may be invisible, but for you, it's permanent, absolute. The storm has become your sanctuary. The wilderness has become your garden. This is vindication, not just that you survived, but that what once tormented you cannot touch you anymore. But listen, reversal isn't the end of your arc. It's the threshold to a new commission. Right now, as the dust of ending settles, you sense a new mandate. You don't move with the desperation that once hounded you. You're not hustling to prove or striving to be kept. There's a steadiness in your steps, a resolve born from all you lost and gained. You hear the call to gather what wisdom you found in the fire and give it away, to tell the story not as a victim but as a witness. This is what God can do. Doors that open now are not for your ego but for your purpose. Invitations that come are filtered through discernment, the serpent's wisdom, sharp and alert, guarding your boundaries, directing your yes and your no. Commission is not a coronation. It looks like serving when you still feel ignored, giving when you're tempted to hoard, loving when you long to withdraw. You become a safe place for others, weathering their own nines, their own endings and birthings. You recognize the signs in their stories, the scattered grief, the restless hunger, the cold ache at 3 a.m. You offer comfort not from theory but from lived reality. Your presence announces, I've survived what tried to destroy me and so will you. You invite others to shed their old skins, to believe that endings are not curses but invitations. The commission is not grandiose. It's granular, humble, day by day. Yet through it all glory flows, not the brittle glory of applause, but the quiet glow of obedience fulfilled, assignment embraced, destiny chosen on purpose, not by accident. Let me speak now of how the commission becomes your closing decree. All those nights you wept without answers become a reservoir of wisdom to pour out. Every humiliation you carried transforms into honor that doesn't need an audience. The platform that seemed so far away now feels less important than the handful of lives you impact. Each breakthrough, each story, a multiplication. The resources you once lacked become overflow, not merely for you, but for the ones assigned to your care. What used to break you now multiplies through you. Now hear me. This is the season where the verdict is reversed. The judgment passed against you is nullified. The shame is canceled. The strivings cease. Heaven's decree silences every voice of accusation. You have nothing left to prove, no one left to persuade. Your worth is settled in the courts of eternity, your legacy written not in the ink of other people's approval, but in the blood of perseverance and the ink of the Spirit who marks you with identity beyond theft, loss, or exile. Let me close this out with the authority that only comes from walking through every line of your own story. They wanted to see you break, but you became unbreakable. They wanted you silent in the background, but your voice grew louder in the secret places until it echoed in rooms you never entered. They wanted the end of your assignment, but all their cursing became the soundtrack to your new commission. They waited for you to run out, but you found the river that never dries. They set traps, but you learned to fly above them. They predicted your ruin, but heaven authored your restoration. Every loss turned to seed, every humiliation to harvest, every ending to a greater beginning. Not because you were stronger, but because you refused to stay buried. Now you stand, vindicated, commissioned, sent, and sealed. It is irreversible. It is completed. It is multiplied. Right now. Suddenly. Even now. Let me take you even deeper, chosen one, because what's rising in you right now is bigger than one moment of vindication, bigger than one answered prayer or closed-out story. This isn't just payback for a hard season. This is a commission that marks the rest of your journey. What's happening in this shift is so complete, so thorough. It doesn't just reset your circumstances, it transforms your inner world, rewrites the terms of your existence, and carves a path ahead where there was nothing but dead ends and detours. Right now, you're carrying the evidence of reversal in your very body, the strength you shouldn't have after so much loss, the calm in your voice when shame tries to drag you under. The way you walk into rooms that used to intimidate you and now nothing in their atmosphere can unsettle your peace. Let me tell you what reversal feels like in the marrow, beneath the skin behind your public face. It's the silent knowing that no matter what shakes, what breaks, you simply cannot be stranded again. This is not bravado, not denial, but memory sealed inside you, clear as breath, true as scars. You find yourself unfazed by threats that once kept you up at night. The people who try to stir up drama or throw shade slide off your spirit without even leaving a stain. You know where your help comes from now. You've seen supply come from sources that baffled you, found covering in places you'd given up on. The distress that used to rattle your health, squeeze your chest, steal your sleep. Now, when it shows up, you meet it with eyes that have seen too much to be fooled. Your battle was never just for survival, it was for unshakable vision. The wisdom of 9, serpent-wisdom, lets you see agendas and motives, lets you move quietly, strike only when called, rest without apology, rise on command. Now let's break open the real weight of vindication. Vindication in this season goes beyond others admitting they were wrong about you. It's the atmosphere around your life that changes. How the very ground you walk on becomes different. How doors that were barred now seem to swing without effort. How the rooms you enter shift because the presence you carry exposes every counterfeit and amplifies every authentic. People who used to disregard you start seeking your opinion, not because you campaign, but because something in their spirit recognizes the work God did in the shadows, the authority bought in the fire. When you speak a word, it lands. There's gravity in it now, a resonance even your enemies feel but can't explain. They sense your peace, your wholeness, your inability to engage the old games, and it unsettles them, convicts them, awakens them to their own broken patterns. Vindication doesn't always announce itself with applause. Most times it looks like quiet favor. The strange relief you feel when you realize you no longer crave entrance into circles that once excluded you. I want you to see what vindication looks like in the relentless everyday. The opportunities that come are not the ones you used to chase and strive for. They're better, crafted for the healed version of you. The you who no longer needs to prove or posture. Work flows through your hands with less resistance. The same creative energy you spent trying to keep things together now multiplies into ideas, solutions, connections that open new channels. Finances that were choked and stifled begin to trickle, then flow in ways that cannot be traced logically. The rulers and gatekeepers find themselves suddenly inclined toward your favor, unable to resist the current of what's moving through you. You're not lucky. You're marked. The authority doesn't falter when tested. It clarifies, sharpens, confirms itself every time you walk through a fire. Let me tell you about the places where vindication shows up and you nearly miss it. Hidden inside the slow and steady restoration of joy. You realize you're laughing again, really laughing, at simple jokes, at children's antics, at your own refound delight. You walk outside and feel the urge to breathe deeply, grateful, eyes stinging for no other reason than the sunrise feels like a gift rather than a punishment. There's a current of gratitude that was never there before. Not gratitude for what's been returned, but gratitude for the resilience, the intimacy with God, the inward foundation that can't be shaken. The bitterness dissolves, replaced by a clarity that all things truly can work together for your good, not in the abstract, but right here in this skin these days. Now lean into this. Commission is not just a next step, not a to-do list or a single big moment where you're finally launched. The number 9 has burned off the plans that were too small, the ambitions that depended on the approval of others, the assignments that would have broken you if you'd succeeded before you were ready. What is being entrusted to you now is legacy work, spiritual, generational, lasting beyond your name and face. Right now, you're being positioned as a keeper of wisdom, a custodian of secrets that were won in the nights no one saw. There's an anointing on you for stewardship of story, of resources, of others' hope. You carry keys not just for yourself, but for a community that's yet to arrive, for sons and daughters in the faith who will need your scars as signposts, your compassion as covering, your presence as living proof that God does not waste crushing, that nothing surrendered is ever lost. Let me paint this plainly without religious gloss or grand talk. Commission is showing up on the days you're still tired, carrying the answers when others panic, speaking the truth that costs you something every single time, but refusing to back down. It's saying yes to the projects that feel small but sacred, pouring into the conversations that never make it online but shift the eternal weight of someone's destiny. It's refusing to settle for shallow connections or surface-level faith. You become a standard, a landmark, a lighthouse for wandering souls. Whenever someone drifts near you, they sense stability, safety, and a gravitational pull that drags lies into the open and exposes what's real. You pay the price for this with years no one saw, tears no one caught, endurance nobody will celebrate on stage. The harvest is in the conviction you carry, the boundaries you protect, the softness that once was walled off now turned outward to heal, to nurture, to restore. You are not here to explain your scars or justify your promotion. You are here to model what it looks like when God alone gets the glory, when the only justification for your influence is survival, surrender, and obedience. The ranks of those watching are shifting. You are being reintroduced not as victim, not as survivor, but as authority, as restorer, as one trusted because you cannot be bought, and you refuse in your soul to ever betray what pain has taught you. There is a clean fear about you now, a holy hush as others realize you know things that can't be faked, can't be Googled or copied. Your words will carry double-edged weight, healing for the humble, a warning for the proud. If you wondered why the pressure was so severe, why the waiting was so long, realize now it was always about your capacity. Commission is dangerous without humility. Promotion is fatal to those who did not earn it in the night. You are safe now, not because your hands are clean, but because your heart has learned purity in sorrow, in reserves that disappointment couldn't poison, in hope that only grows when the world goes dark. Let me prophesy forward even as we close. What's multiplying now cannot stop. The blessing is irreversible and immediate. The clout chasers, the ones who tried shortcuts, will find the door slammed shut, but those drawn to you for healing, for wisdom, for hope, they'll find safe pasture. God is giving you the ability to recognize true sons and daughters, to sift the opportunists from the hungry and grant inheritance to those willing to pay the price for it. You'll notice your voice shifts atmospheres, evaporates confusion, unsettles rebellion without shouting. You'll move quietly among leaders and broken ones alike, never needing to announce your arrival, never seeking the front, always finding yourself there when heaven needs a representative on earth. Your resources will flow. Your health will stabilize. What used to make you anxious can't touch you. The old triggers are just reminders now of wars you've won. God will take the same arenas where your humility was mocked and make them platforms for your wisdom. The relationships that tried to dominate or diminish you will either make peace or fall off entirely. The no from God will land soft and clear in your spirit, guarding you from every wrong attachment and misaligned alliance. You will raise others into freedom, multiply dignity not only in your circle but every place your feet touch. Now I decree over you, chosen one, the story is reversed and you are vindicated publicly and privately. Shame is broken permanently. Restoration is multiplying immediately. Doors of old demand are closed for good. Doors of destiny swing open at your touch. Every tongue that mocked is silenced. Every false witness is exposed. Your name is cleaned. Your record redeemed. The influence you carry cannot be stolen. The favor you steward cannot be revoked. Heaven's blessing is upon you with evidence, not just promise. With substance, not just hope. It happens now, overnight, right now. Commission fulfilled, legacy secured, generations shifted suddenly, even now. Let me tell you, chosen one, you're moving in territory that once belonged to your enemies. Places where your presence would have been unthinkable. Rooms they never wanted you to enter. Opportunities exactly designed to exclude you. But reversal is not a gentle undoing. It's not a subtle shifting of fortune. It's a flood that sweeps away every trace of the old order, every ledger that listed you as less than, every account where they tried to erase your name. What's happening right now is that the things you wept for in the past are being turned into weapons of testimony. Your lack becomes leverage. The betrayal becomes the reason you stand solid. The nights you thought would be the end become the stories you now carry as invitations for the broken ones behind you. You start to realize the people who blocked you, who engineered your endings, now have to witness your beginning. You can almost see it in their eyes, disbelief mixing with respect. curiosity tangled up with regret. Some of them come apologizing, but it doesn't hit you like it once would have. Their words don't heal the wound because the wound has already been closed by a greater surgeon, healed by a hand they can't touch or take credit for. No, this reversal is holy. It bypasses natural processes, shortcuts the steps that the world demands. Suddenly you, the same one who grieved over empty inboxes, who wondered if you'd ever be relevant again, walks into circles you used to watch from a distance, and you're not intimidated. You're not there to prove yourself. The very wisdom you paid for in pain is now your covering, your introduction, your anointing. Let me break it down into the ordinary details because I want you to recognize the reversal even in the everyday. Right now, your bank account testifies. Invoices that sat ignored are now paid without hesitation. Clients who vanished reappear, offering larger contracts than you dared to write into your vision journal. What felt artificial about slowly building your reputation is cut away. You don't have to manufacture authority, you embody it. Discounted, overlooked, misunderstood, those labels depart. Now there's a sureness in how your name is spoken in rooms you never entered, a ripple of respect where your testimony travels ahead of you. It was never about status, it was always about credibility that outlasts trends, substance that survives every shaking. It shows up in your health too. For so long your body was a battleground, every new pain a reminder that you carried stress, grief, wounds far beneath the surface. Now healing comes not just as absence of pain, but as new resilience. You wake up with unexpected energy. The heaviness in your chest is replaced with breath that feels full, deep, alive. The doctor's news turns positive, or the uncertainty you dreaded vanishes as your body regains ground you thought it could never recover. This is not just recovery, this is renewal. You move with a steadiness that grows day after day and in small, sacred moments, tying your shoes, walking outside, climbing stairs. You realize I am whole. I am stronger than I have ever been. Let me show you what happens in relationships as this energy amplifies. People who judged you by your failures now marvel at your perseverance. Some shift uneasily, unsure how to relate to the new you. The one who doesn't hustle for approval, who's not eager to please but quick to forgive and even quicker to set boundaries. Your circle shrinks and then expands again, but this time only the real ones fit. You are no longer available to every emergency, no longer required to convince those determined to misunderstand you. Boundaries are not hard lines, but living fences that mark where peace is possible and where drama no longer has access. The comfort you feel among a select few far outweighs the old ache of being left out by the crowd. You spoke honestly, you forgave those who never said sorry, and it made more room inside your heart for laughter, for trust, for the kind of love that heals without expectation. Vindication slides into your daily actions, in how you answer the phone, how you respond to emails, the confidence in your posture as you enter meetings or show up for conversations long postponed. Even the tone of your no is changed. It's not hesitant, not harsh, but certain, because you know now that anything not sent by heaven cannot prosper against you. Where false accusation used to shake you, now it falls flat. Where you once rehearsed comebacks and explanations, you move forward without the burden of defense. The energy behind you is forward, not defensive, creative, not reactive. And all the while, the commission keeps gathering power, quiet, unrelenting, unmistakable. There's a mantle falling on your shoulders with a weight that doesn't crush but steadies. You begin to sense the nudges more quickly, the intuition sharpened by suffering, the discernment that comes from trusting God when every other guide let you down. You're able to spot where others are on the edge, exhausted, torn apart by the endings they're trying to survive. And you step into their world, not with trite answers, but with the kind of presence that says, I was there too, and look, death did not have the last word. Let me show you the authority that commission carries in this season. Your words land differently. You speak and things uproot that no counseling session could reach. When you lay hands, anxiety breaks. When you share your testimony, shame is shaken off the hearers, as if your own freedom carries a contagious force that transcends personality or eloquence. Dreams are stirred awake just from the authenticity in your story. Even your silence carries weight. People sense your peace and want to know the source. You are not hustling for influence. You're trusted because you withstood what would have crushed others and came out more loved, less bitter, more open. You become a shepherd for those whose hearts are raw. You become an instigator for those who forgot how to hope. You become a breach repairer, a restorer of paths to dwell in. Your hands are commissioned for more than the visible. You pray and things shift in the backgrounds of people's lives. Contracts are released, homes are restored, sick bodies recover. There's a gravity to you drawn from the gravity you suffered. You can't even count the lives it touches, but you feel the responsibility. Holy, unhurried, impossible to manufacture. You're not looking for applause, but alignment. Your yes is rare but powerful. Your no is final. You live with the sense that every step is mapped, that nothing wasted in your journey. No sorrow, no loss, no forgotten dream will fail to serve the purpose for which you were kept alive. And now comes the decree, the closing of the matter, the thing your enemies dreaded, the thing you scarcely hoped for but now erupts as certainty in your bones. Heaven's record is set. The books are balanced in public view. Every scheme designed to end you is now fuel for your fire. Every lie is shattered. Every false prophecy about your insignificance is burned up in the radiance of your return. You carry the oil of gladness instead of mourning. Double recompense where shame once lived. Honor instead of humiliation. Joy where there was only dread. Doors locked against you are now thrown wide. The very places you were told never to show your face again are the places your name is now cherished, your wisdom sought. Generational curses are halted. Promises passed down your line are awakened, funded, resourced. Over you, chosen one, the decree rings out and will not be recalled. They calculated your collapse, but your rise was recalibrated, reinforced, undeniable. They bet on your burnout, but witnessed your breakthrough. They orchestrated silence, but now are forced to hear your sound. They held back recognition, but heaven's archive is open. Your works read out loud in the courts of purpose. The rooms that once banished you now echo with your laughter, ripple with your peace. There will be no going back, no shrinking down, no apology for the favor on your life. You are the reversal, you are the vindication, you are the evidence that endings birth beginnings, that the serpent's wisdom defies every comfortable lie. So let it be established, overnight, suddenly, completely. Let every old agreement break, every new door open wide. The assignment on your life is sealed. The blessing is running after you. Even now, even in this breath, you step into all that is promised. Let the watchers see, let the doubters marvel, let even your accusers go silent before the move of God that lands on your life. You are called, you are kept, you are commissioned, you are crowned. The 9 has finished its work and new things break forth without delay, without question, right now, even now.